Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to DIY Crafts. So, I don't know if you noticed, but the weather outside is starting to get warmer, and right about now, I'm starting to think about my summer. So, spring is in the air, and for me, you go outside, you don't really need a jacket, it's so warm out, especially compared to what we've been doing, with the weather, how it's been anyway. So because I'm starting to think about my garden, I'm starting to think about ways in which I can start to do my seed garden. So today I'm going to share with you at least three different ways to make your own seed starter kits. And then if you follow along, we are going to figure out which one works the best. In total, I'm going to use, I think, 5 different seed starters, 2 of which I cannot show you now because I'm not ready to plant yet, but these ones we can make in advance to get ready for our seeds. So a couple of things that you're going to need if you want to make one out of these 3 or 2 or 3, you're going to need either a toilet paper roll. If you don't have toilet paper rolls, which would be weird, but if you don't, paper towel rolls work. And if you don't have paper towel rolls, wrapping paper rolls work really well. Wrapping paper rolls actually work really, really well because they're a little bit thicker and you can get a bunch more out of them in one big bang. So that's super convenient. The other version we're going to make, so this is the toilet paper roll one. The other one is magazine paper or newspaper. It's a little bit bigger, so depending on what seeds you want to use and how long you're going to keep them in the house, depends on how big you want them. And then the last one, is not entirely dry yet, is this paper clay seed starter kit here. So I'm going to show you how to make all 3 of these. They're super easy. Let me just get rid of this real quick so you guys can see what's going on. So this right here, we are going to take and we're going to just cut it completely in half. So I'm going to squish it a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it approximately where I think is the halfway point. Once you have it here, you're going to make 2 different seed starter kits. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to cut 4 times. So I'm going to cut on where I folded, maybe a little bit less than halfway here. I'm going to cut on the other side, a little less than halfway, and then I'm going to cut in the center. And I can just fold it in half and go ahead and cut it there, so that I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to fold them in to make a little tab. Same thing, fold it in, make a little tab, fold it in, and fold it in. And if you've ever folded a box without having to use tape, you come a little closer, you guys, if you can see it. What you're going to want to do is just take that bottom flap right there and just tuck this piece underneath it. Just like this. All right. So I have a little hole right here, and that's going to be helpful to let the water drop out. That way I'm not completely saturating my roots, which is good. And then right there you have a little cute seed starter. And the beauty of this bad Larry is you don't have to transplant from this container to another container. You're just taking this exact container and putting it right into your garden. So you're not breaking the roots or messing with the plant too much before you throw it in your garden. So I'll show you guys a little bit closer so you can see it. You're a little far away. So this is my other half. If I fold it in half, I'm just going to cut it a little less than halfway, fold it in half, and like this. Open it up, and then I'm just going to fold in each one of my little cuts. And then you might have to shape it a little bit as you go. And then same thing, I'm going to try and find my bottom piece. And I'm just going to put that flap underneath it. So do this, and there we go. Have my little square, and then that's another seed starter. So what I do with these is I have this tin right here. And this tin is just the top cover to this. And I like this because it's metal. It's going to help, one, hold the heat for the seeds from the heat lamp. And two, it's going to help keep, it's going to help reflect that light back up, which is really cool. So what I do is I just take them and put them on here. Because these have a hole in it, I don't want them to ruin whatever I'm going to put them on. And then this is where they'll stay for probably the next 6 to 8 weeks, give or take. So that's one way you can do it. Toilet paper roll, again, paper towel roll, or even better, if you have it, because it'll last longer, is a wrapping paper roll. So these will last, I don't know, biodegradable. They're biodegradable around 12 weeks, give or take. So they're only going to be in the house for about 6 to 8 weeks before I throw them outside. And by the time I throw them outside, they're going to biodegrade as the plant grows. And the convenient part about this is there's nothing stopping the roots from growing out because there's holes here. What's going to happen is the roots are just going to penetrate right through here. So they're not going to get root bound like they would if you buy them at the store. They're ready to go right into the ground. So the other version is a magazine or a newspaper seed starter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this magazine paper up. I'm going to fold it in half. If we did. Just like this. In theory, you want to do it around something round. So I have an aloe vera container. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around here nice and tight just to give me that round shape. And I'm going to take the bottle out. And then I'm going to make this a little bit smaller because to me that's pretty big. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take that inside piece and just pull it tight to make it a little bit smaller. Basically, I want it probably like maybe a little bit bigger than my toilet paper roll. It's a little bit bigger. I'm going to take this part and all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this part down into a triangle like this. So we're doing kind of a little origami here. And then once I have that, I'm going to fold it back like this to give me a little lip here. And that lip is what I'm going to just tuck in. So I don't want to put any tape because that's not going to help my biodegradable. So I'm going to basically just fold this inside and then I'm going to fold it back up. And I'm just going to put it in between one of these layers. And that's going to help keep it a little bit more snug. It's not foolproof, but it does make it a little bit better. So it's like this. All I did was tuck it in one of these layers. And then I'm going to do the same thing I just did with the toilet paper roll. I'm going to go ahead and squish this a little bit. I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to cut this here. Cut it here. Here. And here. To give it that bottom layer. So I'm just going to fold these in. Fold these in. Fold this in. And fold this in. And then I'm just going to tuck it all together. I might need to tuck this under there a little. Basically, I'm just tucking it to the best of my ability. Here we go. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Just want it so it stays together in one piece. Like this. And I'm going to stuff it with dirt anyway, so that's going to keep it from kind of falling apart. And I'm not too worried about if it's got a hole in the bottom. I actually like that because that means the roots have somewhere to escape. I'm going to put that on there. So same thing. Do it with one more of these so you guys can see it one more time. I tend to like it a little bit thicker, so these double pieces are really cool. I'm going to fold it in half. If you don't have something to wrap it around, you can simply just start rolling it to whatever desired shape you want. Like this. And then all I do is I unroll it a little bit. You guys see it here. And then I make this triangle type thing here. And you can leave it just like this, or you can fold it again so that more of it pops out. It's gonna go like this. And then I'm gonna fold this part over into my loop. So you can unwrap it a little and squish it down here. And basically you're just gonna tuck this in here. So nothing crazy, nothing perfect. I'm gonna tuck this in here. And then we can tighten it up a little bit. And the more you squish it, the more you fold it, the better it's going to stay. That's clearly not working very well. I'm going to unfold this a little bit. I like the bottle. I feel like it makes it tighter. This. Pull it out. And then we will just tuck this part right into here. I feel like my toilet paper rolls are going to be more successful because this would probably drive anybody nuts trying to get this as perfect as it needs to be. You're basically making a toilet paper roll here. So I got my circle here. I'm going to fold it nice so it doesn't come apart. If you wanted to, instead of trying to fold the triangle, you could take a little bit of like a glue stick just to keep the seam together. Glue stick's biodegradable, tape not so much. Hot glue gun, not so much either. But things that are not going to take long to degrade, and then things that are not going to harm your plant. So you really don't want to use anything that's full of chemicals. All right. So again, I'm just going to cut the bottom in 4 equal parts. Fold it. Fold it. Fold it. And fold. And then there we go. I have that. This is a little bit too big for me, so I'm not a huge fan of that. I really prefer the toilet paper rolls because they're so much smaller. This actually looks like a seed starter. This is a little bit too big. Obviously, what you could do is instead of folding it this big, you could take it down a notch and fold it this big. But to me, this is more of a headache than it's worth. It's doable if you're really good with paper and you're crafty and you love origami. Fold away. I prefer the simplicity of just chopping this in half. So much easier. So the other option that you guys can do, and I think that this might be my favorite, just for the fact that the way it comes out and the fact that I know it's going to degrade really fast. So this is just pulped paper. It's not entirely dry yet, so it's kind of falling apart in my hands. But when it's dry, it's going to be pretty hard. And then you're going to fill it with soil and put your seed in it. And the paper is going to help hold the moisture. The paper is going to help hold the moisture. And in theory, when it's dry, it's not going to do that. So what you're going to need, you're going to want some scrap paper. You can do this with a couple of things. You can do this with plain Jane copy paper. You can do this with toilet paper. You can do this with shredded magazine paper, newspaper, or even paper towels. Any of the above will work. And all you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add a little water. If you put too much water in it, it's okay. So I'm just going to kind of mix that around and let the paper soak up some of that water. If you have a blender, what you'd want to do is take this shredded paper and put it in the blender, add a little water, and blend it together. I don't have a blender, but I do have a stick blender, so that works for me. So I'm going to add a little water, add a little paper, and I'm just going to blend it around. And if you need to add more water, go ahead and add more water. If not, bear with me for a minute and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So if you're doing this with your blender, what's going to happen is it's going to create a very cool pulp substance. And like I said, if you need to, you can add more water. If you have too much water, you can always add more paper. And then you're just going to move it around. If you're doing this with a blender, you want to stop, scrape down the sides, and resume blending. Alright, so then you can mix it up a little bit, scrape down the sides. There we go. Same thing, mix it up a little bit, scrape down the sides. And you'll know when it's done because you won't have any big flakes. Okay. So, before putting your fingers in a stick blender, unplug it, and then you can get all that extra paper out. So, what you want is, if you've ever made paper clay, you want it to be that same consistency. If you want to, and you want to make sure that it's not going to fall apart like mine did, although I confess that mine wasn't completely dry, so that's why it fell apart, you can add a little bit of flour to this, and that'll help. The starch will help keep it together. So once you have it to that point, you can take it, you can go ahead and wring it out a little if there's too much water in it, which in this case, there's quite a lot of water. So you can wring it out in your hands. There's quite a lot of water that came out of there. And then all you're going to do is you're going to take a muffin tin, and you're just going to start placing this in your muffin tin. So I tend to like to start with the bottom, and I just take a couple pieces, and I basically just shape it to the bottom. And what's going to happen is you're going to make your own seed starter, just like this. Super simple. So you do the bottom, you do the sides. This is your opportunity to experiment to see what your seeds like the best, and what works best for you. Do you want it to be super thick? Do you want it to be super thin? It all depends. So we're gonna experiment here. I'm gonna try with my seed starting garden this year, the pulp paper idea with the toilet paper rolls. And then I'd also heard that if you do an orange peel, a lemon peel, or a lime, those work really well. So I want to experiment and see which ones of those work really well. So if you guys follow along in DIY crafts, we will take a peek every now and again at the seeds and see how they're doing and see which seeds are growing better. And then when we put these in the garden come May, we'll see which plant does the best. Maybe there's a difference. I don't know, but it'd be a cool experiment. And if you're willing to follow along, keep posting. So once you're done, it looks like this. And you're just going to put this off to the side for about 24 hours. And what's going to happen is after 24 hours, you're going to ever so gently just take it right out of the muffin tin. And it looks just like this. So super biodegradable, not much to it. And then all you're going to do is place it on that tin, fill it with fill it with potting soil, put your seed in it, and put it under a grow light. So what I'd like to do, and I hope that you guys keep track and follow along, is over the course of the next several weeks, we're going to see which seed starter works the best. So I'm going to have my paper over here. I'm going to have the toilet paper roll. I'm not going to do the rolled newspaper because it's just not something I'm interested in, rolling a bunch of these. And then I'm going to try an orange. I'm going to try half of an egg, like an eggshell. And then I'm going to try egg cartons. All of those options are completely take from here. There was a plant in here, I would put it right in the garden. So that's the goal here. I really don't want to have to go to the store and buy those little seed pellets or plastic containers. I just want to use what I have at home. So I'm going to use paper, this stuff. I'm going to find a bunch of random containers. So this container works perfectly. Put a bunch of these seed starters in here, put it under a grow light, and I'm sure I'm pretty good to go. So once I have these all in here, I have these as well. I can put my orange peel in here. I can put my egg, my half of an eggshell in here. And I'm also going to do egg cartons. And then I'm going to start saving my takeout containers. Those plastic takeout containers are perfect for making sure that water doesn't leak through and ruin whatever you have your grow plants on, your grow light going with, all that stuff. So stay tuned the next couple of weeks. We will track the progress of these plants. I plan on hopefully getting some seeds this weekend and getting a good start on it. So come end of May, I'm ready to just throw these in the garden. If you have any advice, I will gladly take it. If not, I will see you guys all next week for something even more fun. Until then, keep up your DIY crafts at home, and I'll see you guys next week.